Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here with Brother Bro at the Sundance Film Festival, and it's time to review Cha Cha Real Smooth. This is the second feature from Cooper Raiff, who apparently blew the house down at South by Southwest with his first feature, Shithouse. And once again, he is directing, writing, and starring in his own film. The film is about a recent college graduate who's back in his hometown, and he forms a will they, won't they relationship with a mother in her 30s. And he's also emceeing lots of bar mitzvahs, hence the title of this film.
This is a very charming, wholesome, and feel-good film that had me beaming right from the start. It was obvious from the beginning that, as long as this film didn't falter along the way, this was going to be one of the best of the festival. And it really didn't falter along the way. And it is one of the best of the festival. Cooper Raiff's Andrew is so charismatic. I can't even remember a character I've seen in a film that had this level of charisma and likability. So much so that it made me kind of wish I had the same personality, at least in public settings, that I was just able to charm everybody I was around.
Yeah, it's weird how much I liked admiring the main character of this movie, because I don't usually watch movies to admire the people in them, but something about this character's willingness to put themselves out there and kind of be dorky and inviting in that way.
It's also nice to see a movie embrace a character's extroversion to this extent and to just give someone a really strong personality. I think sometimes we have the assumption that a more reserved character is more likable and down to earth and relatable, but this film shows you that that is just not always true.
It also makes him really easy to root for and care about throughout this movie, and it's part of the reason I was just so endlessly charmed by this one. It got me up in all the feels. It was funny, relatable, sweet, and the romantic tension that he has with Dakota Johnson is just you want it for them really bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension built between he and Dakota Johnson's character. There was even a part where I was thinking, why isn't this paying off? Where's the payoff here? I want this to go somewhere. And then by the time you realize what the relationship kind of means to one of these characters, it's oh, that makes sense that they held us in that state of tension for so long. To that point, Dakota Johnson's really great here. This is one of her best roles, and the chemistry she has with Cooper Raiff is off the charts. You just completely buy it.
This is a very easy movie to fall in love with while you're watching it, and that makes it just the perfect rom-com. It's got a great sense of humor, but it doesn't feel like it's retreading any of the territory that we've seen in other rom-coms. I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel or anything, but it gives you enough off-kilter scenarios where it does feel fresh.
Yeah, you don't exactly know where it's going, and it doesn't play out how you expect it to.
This movie gives you such a big dose of Cooper Raiff, and if you weren't on board with that during this movie, I feel very sorry for you, because not only is he a very hyper, charismatic lead, but, he's also the voice as the film's writer-director, which is kind of a risky move where one person's personality has such a hold over something. He's also kind of this unconventional lead. If he wasn't the writer and director, they wouldn't have cast him probably, but he is perfect for the role. I mean, he wrote it for him, so of course he is.
What's interesting is only Cooper Raiff could have played Andrew in this movie. And I feel like he knows that. And the movie only works because Cooper Raiff just completely brings himself into this movie. That is where all the charm comes from. It's a heaping dose of this character, not just the one he paints for us on screen, but it feels like we're getting his real life personality as well. I don't know where that stops and starts, but it felt very confident in that way. And that confidence is just infectious. But he's not only right for the role, he's excellent in it. He's just as good of a dramatic and comedic actor as he is a filmmaker. I could see a scenario where a filmmaker puts himself in the leading role and up against Dakota Johnson is just not bringing the same level, but he's magnetic. He's on the level of the rest of the cast, who are uniformly great.
It's an infectious lead performance, a really memorable, unique one too. And I would be more than happy to see him get some Golden Globe consideration at the very least. And that might happen because this movie is the talk of the town right now, even though there's no in-person festival.
This is the only film I think so far to capture that real buzz. That Sundance buzz where everyone's saying, okay, this is it. This is the movie that we go to Sundance to see and fall in love with.
It's also very poignant. There's some heavy emotional beats in there too. Nothing too heavy. This is still a rom-com, but...
Well, it definitely becomes more of a drama and leans into the romance as it goes along.
Yeah, I like the sense of humor in this movie, but it wasn't the funniest movie I'd ever seen.
Not because it wasn't funny, but because it didn't strive to be funny all the time.
Yeah.
But mostly I like that it's so real and that it doesn't just strive to give you gags. I would hate that if the movie was just trying to make you laugh instead of diving into the characters more, exploring what this is really about. And my main takeaway from this film is it's about a character struggling with how he's supposed to live his early 20s, which is a time in life when you're kind of desperate for some sort of shape to take form, to be a part of something or even have like a social group. And so you're in this vulnerable state where you're trying to print yourself onto other people's lives. I guess I'll just leave it at that, because there was one moment that really hit me very powerfully, felt like it was speaking to me. And I think a lot of people will have a similar moment there. And I think people could have different takeaways too of what they find relatable and valuable from this story.
Yeah, it actually didn't really seem to try to give you one specific message or like give you that one line that makes a whole movie click together. I think it's about a lot of different things. Like, is it about the sort of multiple soulmates thing? Is it about that contrast between, someone living her life in her 30s, someone living their life just out of college? Like, it's about all these things. For me, I don't even know if I would say I had a main takeaway, which makes me excited to see the movie again and see maybe if there is more of a main takeaway. But I'm also just content with the movie resonating on a lot of different levels. I can't deny that I was just like emotionally involved in this movie. Such an enjoyable film to be in. Such a crowd pleaser. Can't recommend this movie enough. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
I would also give it a 9 out of 10. Probably my favorite of the festival.
This is like this year's Palm Springs. Maybe not as much of a laugh, but in terms of the charm that it has, I think this is this year's Palm Springs. And if you're kind of wondering about awards possibilities, like this one might win the damn fest, which could get somewhat of an awards buzz going on there. I don't know if I see it that way. Again, I might kind of just reference Palm Springs and like give you that. But maybe some screenplay hype if the movie becomes, really buzzed about later on in the year.
The problem is that I have a hard time seeing this picking up nominations outside of like, okay, well, if it got Best Picture, maybe it would get Best Screenplay. Like, I can't really imagine it getting other things.
Supporting actress, like if they really wanted to, like if
for
they
Dakota
really
Johnson?
needed, if they really needed.
I mean,
to
I'd
find
be down
something.
for it. I'd be down for it. I would also be down for lead actor. Like, I would not be opposed to that.
I do not think they would do that though, but yeah, it'd be interesting if a studio picked this up with the intention of like an awards campaign. That's all I'll say.
I would be interested to see how that would play out.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Can you do the cha-cha?